You're listening to the Gabe Molina Podcast.
How many chocolate donuts are in there?
A bunch.
You know what? I'll split one with Nina later or split one with you or something.
I won't eat a chocolate donut.
If I eat it now, I'm going to have to pee and need an insulin shot halfway through. So, you got your headphones on?
Yes, look at me.
I guess I'll put mine on.
You got to make sure that
I was
you
saying that indirectly.
You make it clear that Nina and Tracy and I are like in this podcast.
It's a wife swap.
Yeah.
I wish.
We all wish. Anyway, we'll get started in 3, 2, 1. What's going on? James Arciba and Tracy Arciba.
Hey, what's going on, Gabe?
I got
Gabe.
my wife Janina here as well. Hopefully that's all she says this whole podcast. So we know what's going to really happen. Anyway, James and I have been friends for a long time.
Yes, very long time.
It's kind of cool when you have friends that you've been friends so long you don't remember how you met. So that's pretty cool.
How did we meet?
I think it was in like kindergarten or pre-K or first grade.
Yeah.
I know your brother Robert was friends with Eddie, but I think we were kind of friends along the same time. If anything, they may have made us hang out because they were friends.
Yeah, probably.
But man, that was a long time ago. And the other thing is now here we are, middle-aged.
Golly, 44 years old.
With delicious beards. How long you been growing that beard?
Man, I've been out of work for, I don't know, maybe a week and a half. So when I'm off from work, I let it grow. And then when I go back, I shave it. So
that's a week and a half worth?
Yeah. So I'm going to have to go back Monday. So
Damn.
I'm going to have to shave it Sunday.
I've been growing this for like 6 years.
Man.
But I look delicious.
Yeah, you do.
Thank you, James.
I could eat like caramel off your beard right now.
You know what?
There's probably caramel on his beard.
There
right
is
now,
caramel. You know what? Scoot up if you're going to talk trash. That way people can hear how obnoxious you really are in real life. Anyway, we do have caramel. I ate 100 grand earlier. There might be some in there, so I'll let you taste it later.
Can't wait.
And Tracy's here. How long you and Tracy been together?
Man, me and Tracy have been together, I don't know, since I was a freshman in high school. We met each other, and
how did y'all meet?
Man, that's a long story, but I'm gonna try to make it short.
Just say at my 15th birthday party.
How old were you?
14. Yeah, so she's a cougar.
Man, I was just discovering my body at that age.
Yeah, it was at like I would never go anywhere. Like I would never go out of town. I would just hang out with my friends, with Gabe and Lee. And Mom was like, my sister was going out of town because Rocky, my sister's husband, is Tracy's cousin.
Okay.
So they were going to Victoria to Tracy's 15th birthday party.
So they brought her to you. Or you to her.
Yeah, me to her. So my mom was like telling my sister, hey, you need to take James. He never gets out. And, take him and let him get out of George West.
So this was your mother-in-law's fault right here.
Yeah, it was Mom's fault.
No, his mom.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Oh.
So that's how I met Tracy. And we've been together on and off, I say on and off because in the beginning it was a very bumpy road, but
I remember it being a very muddy road in the beginning. Because that was the first time I met Tracy.
Yeah,
That's
whenever she was taking advantage of me.
Well, you were young.
Yeah,
and you were impressionable.
Yeah,
and she had a convertible.
Yeah.
So I mean, you had the deck stacked against you, so you were kind of
Yeah.
I remember James had knee surgery or something, and I was washing dishes because I had. Said something very sexist to my sister about dishes being a girl's job, so my dad made me do them from the 6th grade till 2 years after I left high school. So I was doing dishes, and I see James' car pull up, and I'm looking out the window. And
it wasn't my car.
No, it was somebody else.
I think was it did I run all the way to Sonia's house?
I think so.
Sonia Lanice,
which were parked was probably 2 miles or something.
Yeah,
not a little more.
I can't remember who dropped me off.
I think it was Sonia.
Because I ran from the park all the way to the highway where I think Sonia lived,
Because y'all were stargazing, I think.
Yeah, we were stargazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the new softball fields.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it just rained, and I see James limp into the house. And James was very similar to Eddie in personality. So when he saw James coming over, it was never just to come say hello. It was because he was in some shit. And so I see him limping up. He's like, hey, Dad, get your dad's truck. It's 10 o'clock at night, 10:30, something like school night. And I was like, dude, I can't get Dad's truck. It's too late. And he's like, no, get your dad's truck. So I said, hey, Dad, James got stuck, and I'm go pull him out in the truck. So we drove out to. James won't tell me where we're going. It's just like, hey, go out this direction. Well, where are we going, James? Just keep going here. Turn right here. And so we're going to the airport. Are we going to the airport? Yeah. Just keep going straight. So we go past the airport. We go to the softball fields. He's like, turn right here. So I turn, and I don't see anything because it's dark. And he's like, right here, look. And so we turn my lights, and I see this. Was it a red car?
Yeah.
That's right.
And I see Tracy stick her head out the door, and I was like, I'm naive and stupid, and
Kate was like, what the fuck are y'all doing out here?
I've just discovered my own body. So I'm like, what are y'all doing out here? And James was like, don't worry about it. So that was the first time I met Tracy, was stuck in the mud stargazing. So
Yeah.
who knew you were into astrology so much?
Yeah.
That was the first time I ever met her. So
That's when I knew that my career choice had to go in a different direction.
yeah.
Yeah, stargazing wasn't for me.
No. Mudding wasn't for you either.
It was Tracy's fault.
But anyway, I hope your kids don't listen to that story.
No, they won't.
But so now you've been married all in totality how long?
25 years.
25 years?
25, yeah.
Okay.
Me and Tracy have been divorced once and then married 3 times. And she says no, that we haven't been married. So we got married through JP.
Okay. Yeah, I missed that one.
And then
Cause didn't I go to one? No, I went to the church thing with the babies.
the baptism.
Yes,
You're the godfather.
that's right.
For the twins.
As
Yes.
Gabe says, he has all of his
And I love-
confirmations, or what'd you call it the
I
other
don't
day?
know. Constitutions?
Instead of sacraments, you said you had all
Oh
your,
yeah,
what'd you say?
it got me in to be the baby's godfather.
Commandments. He
Which
said
is-
he had all his commandments. That's why he was the godfather.
I don't know what they're called.
Yeah, so me and Tracy got married. I was 18. She was 19. So we got married young, and, we got married. It was a bumpy, rocky road.
Were we still in high school?
At times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just graduated.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we just graduated. And, you live
At
life.
Yale's graduation, I was already pregnant with Devin.
Nice.
Were you? Yeah.
Didn't know.
Yeah. So, yeah. JP divorced, and then we went to the courthouse and got remarried like that whenever she moved to George West, and then we got married by church eventually.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Y'all got 4 babies. I remember when right before the twins, James had called, and James was like, Tracy's pregnant. And I'm like, hey, congratulations. Y'all already had Alex and Devin. And James is like, yeah, this is it. This is the last baby. I said, how many more y'all gonna have? Nah, this is it. This will be our 3rd, and that's all I want to do. And so, like a day or 2 later, I guess y'all had gone to the doctor, and he calls back, and he's like, we're having twins. And I said, God heard you talking trash. I said, he threw another one in there.
Yeah.
He said 3 was enough. But he said, no, here's a 4th, buddy.
Yeah, the twins were, all my kids were the best thing that ever happened to me. But
Did you guys have twins in your family?
yes, I have a cousin I have numerous cousins that have twins, and then talking to my mom, she was like, "Oh, so and so has twins, and so has twins, and so and so."
Oh, really?
It runs in the family, James. I'm like, man, if I would have known that, I would have gone for the 3rd baby. I would just stay with the 2. But yeah,
Try to
Weak
tell you.
pull-out game.
yeah.
Tracy wouldn't let him out, girl.
Yeah, everything's my fault.
Everything is your fault.
So when y'all, how many did y'all just have Devin after y'all got divorced the first time, or did y'all have Alex too by that point?
We had all 4 kids.
Oh, really?
Later on in life, I don't know how old we were when we got divorced.
I don't either. Can't remember.
I don't know. It's
So
like-
me and Nina always half joke that If we if we ever get divorced, we're never doing this again. So, being that you did it 3 times,
Yeah.
so what brought you guys? What kept bringing y'all back together? Was it? I mean, of course, there's the kids involved, but were y'all? Is it part of y'all just getting older and growing yourselves?
Yeah,
and seeing
getting older,
things differently?
growing up, and changing your ways. Because, you know, a lot of our troubles was because of me. Because I drank a lot, and you know, I cheated on Tracy, and man, I was just screwed up. You know, James was James. You know, he's loud. You know, just I don't know how to explain it, but the simplest way I can explain it is like that. You know, I was immature when I got married. I was immature the first year into my marriage. I was immature when I had 4 kids, and James finally, you know, after getting put in jail numerous times and all that, James finally changed his ways, and with that came a lot of prayer from Mom and everybody else to help me change my ways. Because if it wasn't for Mom and her prayers and everybody's prayers for me to change my ways, I'd probably be dead right now.
Were people? I mean, I get that people were praying for you, or for both of you, actually.
Yeah.
But were they also giving you advice too, or trying to help you along, or was it just something where you were starting to discover stuff on your own, or who was kind of making an impactful influence on your decisions as you were getting older?
They would always give advice. Always, they would always give me advice. And
Mom, siblings, everybody.
yeah, everybody, mom, siblings, and I was young and immature, and I was gonna do things my way. I didn't care about my wife's feelings. I didn't care about my kids' feelings. All I cared was about James's feelings, and that was it. And you know, the older I got, the more and more I got into trouble, and then like I said, you know, I know it was probably all of Mom's prayers and everybody's prayers, but it finally kicked in to where God sat me down like, hey, dude, it's either you're going to change your ways or you're going to die. It's almost to the point to where like God was like, I'm not going to be able to help you no more, man. You're like screwing this up royally. You need to change your ways. So anyways, a lot of stuff happened in between, you know, me getting thrown in jail and drinking and doing drugs, and James just worrying about James and nobody else. You know, I finally hit rock bottom, and when I hit rock bottom, I spoke to God, and I was telling God, you know what, I don't want to live like this anymore.
What was your rock bottom? What was the event that you would say that was?
Rock bottom was probably getting a DWI, DUI, PI. And divorce all within 3 months. So, and that was like, that's rock bottom. I mean, you know, at one time I had 3 lawyers going at one time, you know.
Jeez, that's a lot.
Yeah, it was. And it took all that, and of course me coming to God to ask for his guidance, and if it wasn't for God and Mom's prayers and everybody's prayers, like I said, I'd be dead right now. I would.
So where were you, Tracy, in those 3 months? Were you in Victoria or were you in George West? Or
I was in Victoria.
you're in Victoria with your family? So what was your thought when
we're divorced at that point, right?
Yeah, we're divorced.
Yeah.
So did she know about what you're experiencing with law and stuff like that?
Oh yeah,
Getting
there was a couple of times where she was the one getting me out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I hated it whenever Cosme got me out, because I was like, man, every time I would get arrested, I was like, please don't let it be Cosme. Please don't let it be Cosme getting me out, because he's gonna whoop my ass. And
What would he tell you?
man, he just like, you know, it's whenever you're a parent and you're yelling at your kids and you're telling them like, don't do this, and you better not do this, and just basically he was a dad telling me that he was very disappointed in me.
Yeah.
You know, because Cosme was like my dad, and Robert too, you know, because I lost my dad when I was 12. And I was very lucky that he didn't whoop my ass, because I've gotten hit by Cosme one time, and I don't wish that pain on anybody. But yeah, so
what was your what was going through your mind when he was having that crazy 3 months? Was there any thought that you'd ever come back, or would you get back involved with him, or were you just trying to help him along because you loved him and y'all had kids together?
It was a very hard decision. A part of me wanted him to stay there. I'm not going to help him. Let him learn his lesson. And another part of me was like, no, I need to go help him. So it was back and forth. I remember the first night I got the call that he was in trouble. And I probably stayed up all night thinking about, okay, what am I going to do in the morning? Am I going to go, or I'm going to stay here and just go to work like nothing happened? I took the kids to school and went to Corpus and got him out. So it was a rough choice. Because a part of me just wanted to be like, okay, no, you did that.
Deal with it.
It's not my problem, you know? But another part of me was like, no, I need to go help him, you know? So that's what I did. I met your parents. Your parents are awesome. Were they supportive of you helping them, or were they just kind of like, hey, you need to start backing off?
At that time, Raymond and Diane hated me.
Okay.
Which they had every right to because I hurt their daughter, you know? So.
Yeah, everybody probably thought I was crazy for going to go help him.
And so, as far as your mom, did your mom ever give you any input on what you were doing, or was it just your brothers? Did Dee Dee have any conversations with you trying to get you lined up?
They all had the same conversation with me. They're all like, James, you need to change. And especially Mom. Mom was like, what Mom would always tell me was, she was like, Mijo, you need to stop drinking. Please don't drink no more. Please don't drink. You can't just go out and have fun. Don't drink. You don't have to drink. And over years and years of hearing that, it just got to a point to where I wasn't listening to Mom. I wasn't listening to anybody. You know, Tracy would always say, you're an alcoholic. No, I'm not an alcoholic. Alcoholics get up with a beer in their hand and go to sleep with a beer in their hand. I'm not an alcoholic, but I was a different type of alcoholic. I would drink. Whenever I would drink, I would never know when to stop. So, you know, I just drank until
it was all gone, or
till it was all gone, or I was passed out. But before Mom passed away, she was, and when I had hit rock bottom, you know, moms never leave your side, and Mom, through the thick and thin, Mom never judged me. She never judged Tracy. Her main thing was, son, please stop drinking. Please stop. And when I had hit rock bottom, I told myself, you know what, that's it. I'm not gonna drink no more. And you know what, I'm gonna do this for myself. I'm gonna do it for my kids. At the time, I didn't know if I was gonna ever have to get Tracy back again or not.
How old was Devin at this time?
This was like 10 years ago, so Devin was probably 15.
Okay, so he was old enough to know shit wasn't right.
Yeah, man. Mijo, I put him through hell and back, but that's another story. But you know, I finally stopped drinking, and I told Mom, you know what, I'm not gonna drink no more, Mom. And whenever I told Mom that, that was like one of the happiest moments in her life, because I think she knew that at that point I was sincere about not drinking anymore. Like, she knew it. I didn't know it at the time. I just figured, you know what, I'm gonna tell Mom I'm not gonna drink no more. I'm gonna tell myself I'm not gonna drink no more, but I'm probably gonna fall off the wagon, because I've told myself this before numerous times.
So then at that point you weren't fully committed to it. It was something you were maybe trying to say to make everybody get off your back a little bit.
Yeah, pretty much. But you know, this was, I had fallen numerous times, and I had numerous conversations with God, and I'm like, okay, God, I'm not gonna drink no more. Just please help me not drink anymore. I don't want to drink no more, because nothing but trouble comes out of drinking, and especially with me. And that can be the case with anybody, you know. And anyways, I stopped drinking in March of 2012. Was the last time I took a drink. So I've been sober since then, and life is just so much better, so much easier when alcohol is not involved. and nobody's perfect. Everybody has their flaws. Everybody has skeletons in the closet. But I actually like talking about my skeletons, because if it wasn't for those skeletons, I wouldn't be the man that I am right now. And I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not. And me flipping a Camaro 3 times, me getting a DWI, me being in jail numerous times, that made me the man that I am today, in a nutshell. And if those things hadn't happened to me, I would not be the man that I am today. Am I perfect now? Far from it. Will I ever be perfect? No. But, the devil made me go through those things, and God got me out of it. Every single time. He never left my side. Just like my mom. My mom never.
I didn't know about the car wreck.
Yeah. I hadn't even made a payment on it yet. It was a brand new 2012 Camaro. James thought he was...
He didn't even like Camaros.
Yeah, I
He
didn't.
did it because it was payback for me.
Yeah, I knew she liked Camaros. Anyways, but it was and actually Karen sold that Camaro to me whenever she used to be a salesman here in San Antonio.
Okay.
And she hooked it up, man. And so I had the Camaro. I didn't even have it for a month, and I flipped it 3 times, and I should have been dead then. Why I wasn't, I have no idea. But everything that's happened to me happened for a reason, and I'm glad me flipping the Camaro 3 times happened. I'm glad that I got thrown in jail the numerous times I did. I'm glad I experienced all those trials, because I wouldn't be the person I am now. Like I said, am I perfect now? No, I'm not. And I can talk about stuff like this because it made me the person I am. And like I said, long story short, if that hadn't happened, I'd probably be dead right now.
So,
honestly.
So like Dad, we talked about Dad's story before, and Dad literally had quit cold turkey. Were you able to quit cold turkey, or was it something where you had to wean yourself off of it?
Yeah, I pretty much quit cold turkey. It's just that like a year would pass, and like, man, one drink ain't gonna hurt. Nobody's gonna know about it. And I was like, no, I'm not gonna do it. And it made Mom so happy and so proud that I wasn't drinking anymore. That I made Mom that promise. I told Mom, I'm not ever gonna drink no more. I said, you don't have to worry about that. And she was like, I'm so glad, mijo, this and that. And when she passed away, that was when she passed away, I thought, okay, I'm gonna fall off the wagon here, because when she passed away, I lost my rock.
What year was that?
Man, Gabe, that's a good question. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you. Maybe 5-6 years ago.
Okay.
And she passed away, and I made her that promise before she passed away, and I'm gonna keep that promise. I'm gonna keep that promise to my mom, and I'm gonna keep it to Tracy and to the kids. And has it been easy? No, it hasn't been easy. And it's like I like knowing that when I get together with my friends and they drink and they're under their influence, that, hey, you know what? I'm there to drive them home. We don't have to worry about going to jail. We don't have to worry about wrecking a car. It's like they get to enjoy themselves. I get to enjoy myself being in good company with my friends. And it's like everybody knows James is a DD. James is a DD. So I am. And do I miss it? In the beginning I did, but now I don't. I really don't.
What were you missing? Were you missing, I guess, the drinking, or the events and the atmosphere of what came from drinking, like hanging out with people? Because I mean, even now, there's not a lot to do in George West, right? So you hang out with your buddies and you barbecue and you drink, So to be around it, it's everywhere. There's a bunch of it, And some of the people you love the most and that the best. We're gonna sit there and have some drinks, and I guess now at our age, there's not so much of a hey, here, drink this, quit being a wuss, drink this, It's just we're older now, and we don't, do what you want, and I'm gonna do what I want, kind of thing. But I would imagine that being around it so much, I would think it would be more difficult to not have that drink. But I guess maybe at a certain point, do you get to a point where it's not even an issue anymore because it's been so long?
At first it was an issue, and Mom would always tell me, she was like, "Mijo, you don't have to drink to have a good time with your friends. And I'm like, yeah, you do, Mom. And like, no, you don't. You don't have to drink. Why can't you
Did
just...
you tell her, have you seen my friends?
No, she already knew all my friends. And she would always tell me, you don't have to drink to have a good time. You don't have to drink to have a good time. And I was always like, yeah, you do. You got to drink to have a good time, you know. But now, you know, listening to Mom's advice, you don't have to drink to have a good time. You know, I still enjoy every moment I spend with my friends. Other than not being able to drink, that's it. You know, I don't miss drinking. I don't. I used to. The first 2 years, those were the hardest 2 years. But after that, I don't miss it at all. And I'm not ever gonna go back to drinking either. There's no way, because I've come this far, and to take one sip and to ruin everything, I'm not gonna do it. You know.
You know, I think for me, my early influences of people who would drink that kind of stuck in my mind there's three of them, I would imagine, just kind of thinking off the cuff right now. One of them was my dad, your dad, and Ray Gonzalez. And you know, it was very different because Ray Gonzalez was the Red Raiders soccer coach, who we'll probably get into some of that later. That's why Nina's here. But you know, my dad, when I remember him drinking, Dad would come home and he would be hilarious. Or at least at my age, I thought he was hilarious, because Mom would have to go get him from the bar. You know, Joe or Eddie or Barbara would go with her to help load him in the car, and you know, he'd come home and act like an airplane, or he'd throw up in the tub, and I always thought it was hilarious. You know, he wasn't like aggressive or not that I ever saw. You know, he was funny, you know. So I remember being a stupid kid, and when Dad had stopped drinking, I was kind of bummed out just a little bit, you know, because I was like, Dad's funny, you know, I get to jump on him, and you know, he won't get up, you know. And I remember going to, like, during your birthday, you know, your mom would always invite me over, and there was one in particular where I remember we were there, and I think your dad had been drinking, and no doubt that your dad had loved you. But I know he made you uncomfortable, because I remember one birthday you were crying, and your dad was just kind of asking you questions, and you know, and I remember thinking, I was like, man, you know, I started early on. For me, I was kind of like, well, I don't want to drink, you know, if I'm gonna act like my dad, or I'm gonna act like James' dad, you know. So I never really kind of got into drinking, you know, even when we were in high school.
Yeah.
I mean, I rarely drank. Even now, I'll have a mixed drink every now and then, you know. But it kind of was something that I didn't. Dad had a refrigerator always full of beer, you know, and Dad always had. You know, back then, growing up, it was harder. You know, there was less opportunity in that town, and less money. You know, so people, when they weren't doing anything, drink. You know, that's what you do when you've got nothing else to do and you're stressed and probably a little depressed. And you know, Dad always had beer, and it was funny because, like, even growing up with him, whenever he would work on cars, I'd always want to interact with him, and it was always more frustrating for him to teach me something than to just do it himself, you know. Or even with baseball, you know, I remember I'd go to Dad and, hey, Dad, show me how to blah blah blah, and Dad would always say, I taught Eddie, Joe, and Barbara so they could teach you, you know. So it was rare to even get him out there, you know. And I don't know that it was his drinking all the time, or if it was just him being stressed. I mean, like I said, you got 5 kids and a wife, and you know, you've got a job that you're probably making $7-8 an hour at, and you know, your younger kids have 12 buddies coming over, and we're all eating dinner at the house, you know. Yeah. And it's a lot of stress on people, you know. And now I think there's other avenues for distraction and stuff, to where maybe you can get away from. I mean, when somebody's addicted to something, they can't just get away from it, right?
Yeah.
But you have other things now that you can do, or other avenues, experiences you can have in that town, where it's not always around drinking, you know. So I think that's awesome that you've been able to go so long without drinking, and it's probably a good influence on your kids, you know. And it's like your actions now are gonna affect them positively, and they're gonna have their own negative experiences. You know?
Yeah.
But you having been down that road already, I mean, when they run into a situation like we talked earlier, having a father to go ask questions of, and your dad dying when you were so young, yeah, you had your brothers, but they were growing up too, and your mom was trying to raise 4 kids, and so you having these experiences and being able to still be here for your kids, that's gonna be massive for them,
Yeah.
It'd be huge for them. What are their
dad died of cirrhosis of the liver, so he loved to drink, and but I don't recall like mom and dad ever fighting. I don't recall them ever arguing.
Yeah.
But like you telling that story, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
I don't. I remember a lot of stuff that Tracy does, I remember a lot of stuff that you don't remember and stuff like that. But it's pretty neat, like to hear, like what you just said about dad and the way I was acting like a little puss and I was crying.
Well, you were. I don't think you were acting like a little puss necessarily. It was your birthday and it was an uncomfortable situation and you had a buddy there. And we were kids. I mean, we probably were. I don't know.
And my birthday
8.
parties were like me and Gabe with a cake, or maybe me and Noel and Gabe with a cake.
Which it may have contributed to my fascination with birthday cake, because I used to eat a shitload of cake at his house because just 2 of us.
So yeah, mom may have not got presents or anything like that, but mom always, I would get home from school and there was my birthday cake, and I look forward to coming home on my birthdays because I knew mom was gonna have my strawberry cake right there waiting for me. It's awesome, and it sucked that she wasn't there to share it with me because she worked 3 jobs, from in the morning to at night, and so she did her best to raise me. So, and she did a good job other than me screwing up my own life, after I left the house. But other than that, yeah, me and like Gabriel and all of us, we were like poor. But if you were to ask us when we were kids, are you poor? Like, hell no, I'm not poor. Shit. My mom gives me lunch money every day. We're not poor, And that's another thing, my mom would give me $10 every day. Like $10 a day is, you can buy lunch. Mm-hmm. Like $10 back then, it's like you can buy lunch for a month. But for my mom to be able to give me $10, every day, hear me for your lunch. Thanks, Mom. I'd go and buy candy and this and that. We'd always go to
$10 is a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot, and
well, he sure wasn't buying school supplies because that motherfucker would take all my pencils. Like I said, James and I have known each other a long time, and so there's certain people in your life that you have that are family without being blood, and James is definitely one of them, including a handful of other guys. But yeah, James would not spend any money on school supplies. He took my crap all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
I hated school, and I am so blessed to have 4 kids that were really smart and that are really smart, I'm glad their mom was smart because if they would have got my brains.
I was going to say, with as smart as your kids are, you have to be a genius, Tracy, because even like Jared's a smart kid. And it's like, it must have come from his mom because I know his dad. And so, I mean, those are blessings, man. But, being able to, even with the rockiness of y'all's marriage and whatnot, it's like, even now, we're talking earlier, Tracy, about college and making good decisions on what college to go to and, trying to get out, trying to get a degree that's going to matter in your life. Getting the right degree, but also getting through college with paying as little money out of your pocket as possible. We talked about that a little bit earlier too. And it's like I'm using the royal we didn't necessarily have that growing up. Like we're talking about earlier, for us it was kind of like our parents were content with us going to high school, and graduating. It was like, it was the minimum and they were content with that, I'm sure they wanted more for us, but nobody really held us accountable, I don't think. The way you were talking about holding Logan accountable, and it's like, being, I was telling Barbara a while back, we are talking about Jared and going to school, and she was talking. We're talking about Jared trying to, get a job, right? She was saying he needs to get a job to make money to do X, Y, and Z. And it's kind of like, I get that, but we need to give him a little more information. How to pursue this, getting a job, maybe what kind of job to go after that'll help him be able to still do his college, go to school, do his college, events or whatever. He's playing football at the time, but it's like, we need to give him instead of giving people a target, we still need to give them the path to the target, right? And it's like, I think as time's gone and it's funny because like, you look around society and you kind of watch the news and you're always going to see the worst thing on the news. I told Nina, I'm like, I feel like Generation X did a shitty job raising kids, to some degree. But then you look back and you see, like, you look at the boys back in George. I told Nina, I said, you go back to George West and you see the kids in George West and you see Jared, you see, Brendan, you see Logan, you see Lindsay, and, a handful of other kids, John Zuniga. And it's like, they're not perfect. Nobody's perfect, but they're respectful and they're kind and they know when to be an idiot and they know when not to be an idiot, just like we did.
Yep.
We were dumbasses, but we were respectful.
Yeah.
And we didn't try and ruin people's property and we didn't try and take from anybody. We were just trying to have a good time, and sometimes we made a mistake.
Yeah.
But it's like, so I can't say that with a broad brush saying that Generation X screwed up raising kids, because you go home and you see all these very well behaved, well mannered kids, and it's like, okay, it's Generation X doing all right raising some kids.
Yeah.
So what are things that you've experienced? Nina and I don't have kids, but what are some of the things that you guys have experienced with especially the twins growing up now that you guys have kind of come together a little bit better than what it was in the beginning? Devin was 15 when he was kind of experiencing a lot of that stuff, but
yeah.
I guess now that the twins are in their teens, they have a different experience going through their teenage years than Devin did.
Totally different, man. With Devin, Alex a little bit, but more Devin. I mean, me and Tracy, or I don't say Tracy, but I basically ruined his childhood, man. I was a strict dad. I used to drink all the time, and Devin was really good in baseball, and I was really hard on him. I would really hard. And I kick myself in the ass every time I think about it, because me and Devin have a good relationship now. I love him to death.
And he is handsome. I saw a picture the other day, so what he posted. He's good looking.
And we have a great relationship now. But, man, back then Devin hated me. And he had every right to hate me. And so we put Devin through a lot. Alex is Alex. We put her through some, but not as much as Devin, because...
What's their age gap between those two?
Devin's 25 and Alex is 21.
Okay.
And then, so whenever Tracy came back into my life and I finally started straightening my life out, Alex was in what?
When we moved to George West, she was 8th grade and the twins were in 5th grade.
So they were fairly young still. So like I said, Devin experienced our bad relationship early on, and Alex can remember some. She says she can remember a lot. And the twins, like you just said, the twins didn't get to, and I'm glad they didn't experience James back in the day. And with Logan and Lindsay, things were like totally different. And with Devin, I was strict. I was the asshole dad, and everybody can tell you that, and it's all true. I was the asshole dad, and with Logan, Logan he loves baseball, and him growing up, it was like I remember Devin went to a baseball game one time, and Logan struck out, and I was like, it's okay, buddy, you'll get the next one, don't worry about it. And Devin looked at me, and he looked at his mom, and Devin told Tracy, "Are you serious?" And Tracy was like, what? If I would have struck out back in the day, man, my dad would have had my ass yelling at me, screaming at me. And Logan strikes out and he gets a clap. It's okay. And, so stuff like that stuck in his head. And it
So does that affect their relationship, or do they get along really well?
They get along good.
Okay.
Yeah, all the siblings get along good. But Devin remembers that, it's like, hey, why were you an asshole to me? And you're congratulating Logan when he strikes out.
It's like you're giving high fives to Logan for striking out.
Yeah.
And it took a lot for me to grow up.
How do you? I mean, we get that you're in a different place in your life and that you've grown older and you've changed, but initially when that was happening, Logan striking out and getting a clap, Devin still is growing up, and so are we. But it's like, what was that conversation? How did you try and explain to him, just you being in a different place? Because it's funny, because as I've gotten older, I kind of look back and I go, man, when I was a kid, my dad was mean. He spanked me all the time, and Joe would have to come in and stop him, and now with Dad, it's like, you ask Dad will say, "Oh, I never spanked you." What do you mean? Who are you?
I used to have that conversation with Mom. I was like,
Yeah.
Mom, remember you used to put me up against Dad used to have a little bar, and where he used to have his liquor up there, and Mom used to say, stand up against that bar. And I'm like, I ain't standing up against that bar. Put your hands on the bar. And she would spank me. I would do it. She would spank me. And I would be acting up, and I'd be outside. And I think that's how I was so fast later on in life.
Oh, yeah, you were real fast.
Because Mom would say, James, get your butt inside. And she had the belt waiting for me at the door. And I'm like, I ain't going inside. You better get inside now, or else it's going to be even worse when you get in here. So I used to pump myself up. Here we go. And I used to haul ass up the porch and run through the house and close the bedroom door. And I'm like, yeah, she would get a few swings in, but
Yeah, I was short and fat. I always got caught. So what was when you had that conversation with Devin where he was trying to understand the difference between your I guess parenting, so to speak, what was your conversation with him like?
well, it was a short conversation, that's for sure. I mean, what do you tell your oldest son that you treated like shit for so long? And I wouldn't abuse him physically, but I would abuse that boy mentally to the point of no end. And I would always say, I'm doing this for you. I want to get the toughness out of you. You're better than this. You're better than this. And I just went about it the wrong way. And to answer your question, I mean, what can I tell my oldest son that other than, hey son, I'm sorry. Your dad was a screw up. Your dad didn't know how to be a dad, and for that I'm very, very sorry. I mean, I can to this day I probably still apologize to Devin for the childhood that I gave him, and it's not fair. Nobody should ever go through what Devin went through with me. No child should ever go through anything like that. And like I said, I have a good relationship with Devin now, and Devin's become a good man. And my kids, all four of my kids, they've learned stuff in life at a young age that I never knew, because they learned from watching their mom and their dad. They know how not to treat a woman. They know how to treat a woman because their dad showed them. I didn't know I was showing them at the time, but they know that, hey, Dad in his younger years, I don't want to be like him. Dad,
So that was on their own. That didn't. I mean, they never got to where they were disrespectful to where you had to redirect them, or was that just something they just saw and they said, I don't want to do that?
Yeah, that was on their own, man. I was really blessed for God to help them understand, okay, Logan, Lindsay, Devin, Alex, you don't want to be like this James right here, and you want to be like this James right here, and even this James right here. You want to be like him somewhat, but not completely. And they learn on their own, man. They know that, hey, I'm not gonna be like Dad, especially Devin. I'm not gonna be like Dad was. I'm not gonna treat my wife like that. I'm not gonna treat my kids like that.
Has he vocalized that before, or is he just through his actions?
Through his actions, man, he's quiet, and Alex is vocal, Lindsay's vocal there, and you know Lindsay's quiet, but Logan, you know from what Logan remembers, he's like, I'm not gonna be like that. You know, I love Logan to death. I love all my kids to death, but all 4 of my kids, they know what to do and what not to do in life because of my screw ups. And is that a good thing? Maybe. Is it a bad thing? Maybe. I don't know. But I do know that they know that they don't want to be like the old James. And nobody would want to be like the old James, you know?
Yeah, I think that's something to be said for them to be so young and to still be able to go, I'm not gonna do certain things because of what I've seen. You know, it's so easy to just say, well, these are my experiences and that's all I know. I'm gonna go that. I'm gonna do the same thing. But to have the wherewithal to be able to kind of say, because those experiences made them feel a certain way, right? So I mean, they're learning by watching, but it's also an emotion that they must have had real young.
Yeah.
You know, and it must have been something that made them really uncomfortable and really maybe sad, you know, to where they would be able to say, you know, this is something that I don't want to experience. And not even so much that I hated it so much, I'm not going to do that to anybody else, you know? And hopefully it's something where it goes a step further and says, I'm not going to let anybody do that to me. Because it's real easy to go, okay, well, I'm nice to people, you know, and you know we know people that you can sit there and go, well, you know, I treat people good, but I have less of a problem when they treat me bad, you know. But it's important to be able to go, hey, I'm not going to treat people this way, but I'm not going to let people treat me this way either, you know. And hopefully that's something that they learned as well, and it sounds like they have.
Yeah, they have. I think they have, and you know, they have. They're smart kids, and man, they've been through so much. God, like I said, no kid should ever go through what they went through with me and Tracy, you know.
So when you got things turned around, how old were the twins when things have gotten? I mean, things are always a work in progress, right?
Right.
But I guess there's a pre things got better and a post things got better. Was that when the kids were already in high school, the twins?
No. Everything started turning probably.
Fifth grade.
Which grade?
Fifth grade.
Fifth grade.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's been a while.
About 2012, you know, about the same time that I stopped drinking. They were still living in Victoria, and then eventually I gained Tracy's trust back, and the kids were hesitant. You know, they didn't want to move to George West. Alex cried for like the first 3 months. And she hated it in George West.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you know, I mean, and Lindsay and Logan, you know, they were young. Of course, Lindsay doesn't like school, but Logan loves it. And
who does like school?
But yeah, it was about 2012 when everything, you know, it all starts with you. It all starts. If you don't want to change, things are never going to change. A marriage is a two-way street. And it took me a long time to realize that, because at first it was all about James. It's all about what I want and nobody else. I don't care about what Tracy wants. We're going to do what James wants. I don't care what my kids want to do. We're going to do what I want to do. I'm the man of the house. You know, and a marriage is a two-way street. And a marriage is something that you work on every day. And of course, with the help of God. Because without God, man, you'll hit rock bottom and stay there for forever. And I have you know, some friends in Victoria and George West, whatever the case may be, and it's like, how did y'all make it work? And I said, you got to start with yourself. If you don't change yourself first, it's never going to work. And then after you change yourself, you need to realize that a marriage is 50-50. It's not 30-70.
100-100.
No, like
Yeah, well, I get you. I get you.
and it's until a person realizes that it's never gonna work, and we're Hispanic. We got that
Stubbornness.
stubbornness. Hey, that macho. We're the man. It's our way or no way. Man, if you have that mentality going into a marriage, it's gonna be very, very rocky, like it was for me.
You know what? It's funny because I don't think I ever developed that because that machismo because of Barbara, Joe, and Eddie. They never allowed it to happen. Never. You would talk about child abuse. Barbara was sitting. We had Eddie's birthday the other day. Barbara finally told Dad, we used to make him go take the clothes off the line, and he wouldn't go, so we'd strip him naked and we'd throw him out there until he got all the clothes off the line. And I remember I'd be naked, and I was always been a stupid, naive kid, right? So I wouldn't go out and take clothes off the line and put clothes on. I would go out, take the clothes off the line, and then walk back to the house naked. So yeah, we all had a few issues there. But Tracy, let me ask you this, Tracy: when James was getting his shit together, what was it that made you go, I'm gonna give him another chance? Because that's got to take a lot of confidence in. I don't know if it's him or yourself or what was it that made you go, you know what, I'm going to move back to George West, and after everything that we've been through, I'm going to give it another shot. Because some things love can't, or, there's love involved, and I'm sure, but that's scary, because you've already been through so much, and it'd be easy to go, you know what, we had an experience together, it didn't work out, and I'm going to move in a different direction. But to be able to go, you know what, I'm going to give it another try. Because I don't live in your house. I don't know the ins and outs. But, you can tell a lot about how a family is by the kids. And the kids look very happy. They're beautiful. They seem confident. They seem very smart. So that comes from somewhere, and usually it comes from home. So things I'd imagine now are a lot better than what they used to be. So what made you say, hey, we're going to give it another run?
It was a hard choice. Just because we had been back and forth so much. Hard to describe. I had conditions when I moved. But once we were there and he proved himself, then I was like, okay, first condition was I wasn't going to sell the house in Victoria. There was no way. Like, if I needed to come home, I was coming home. And I wasn't going to start with nothing. Like, we can rent the house out and do whatever. I'm not selling it, because if I got to come back, we're coming back.
Where were y'all staying at the time when you come back to Georgia? Was it at your mom's house?
Yeah. Mom's house in the barrio.
We lived there for 3 years, and before we actually found a house. And but yeah, it was a hard choice. But once we were there, in George West, and
it was still rocky. It was still rocky in the beginning.
Did you see changes in him pretty quick, or?
Oh yeah.
Were you confident in what you were seeing, or were you a little leery?
No,
you'd have to be a little leery, I'd imagine.
Yeah, but the drinking was probably one of our major issues. So without alcohol in the equation, made things a lot easier. So.
And I guess without the drinking, he was a more of a, I guess maybe involved dad too. So did things start? I guess when things started getting better, did you see it as far as were things getting better in relation to the kids, or did things get better in relation to the two of you, or was it at the same time, or did one come after?
No, it was probably all of us as a family. He proved to us that this is what he wanted. no doubt. For him to say, hey, I love you guys, we knew he meant it, without a doubt. So, and moving to George West and giving him that opportunity to show us, he shows us every day. So
That's awesome. That's got to be a huge weight that y'all carried for a long time, and to be able to put it down and go, okay, well, we're going to start enjoying each other like we were supposed to.
Oh yeah,
You know?
definitely. It's like the way we are now. It should have always been like that from the very beginning. But when you stray from God, your life just goes downhill, man.
Yeah.
And you can't stray from God. And I'm talking on behalf of all the married couples out there, or whatever. It's when you take your eyes off Jesus, and I'm not a holy roller, and I don't go to church like I should, and I'm not pretending to be the most perfect person in the world. I'm just talking facts. If you don't include God in your everyday life, whether you go to church or you don't go to church, things are never going to look up for you. Never. And I had God closed out for so many years, and my life was just a wreck for all those years. And the minute I started letting God back into my life, your life changes. And God's there by your side saying, all you have to do is ask for my help, James, and I'm here. I'm going to pick you up every time you fall. Don't worry. I got this. The devil ain't going to, he'll knock you down, but I'm going to be there to pick you up. And that's what God did. And when a person allows that, it's hard for them to go downhill in their relationships and their marriages, whatever the case may be, because our God's a loving God, and He's there to pick us up whenever we fall, and He was there to pick me up every time, and I thank God that every time I fell, I would swallow my pride, and then I would sit there and God, I screwed up again. I screwed up again, God. I'm sorry. Please help me, God. Please help me. And He would help me get back on my feet. And there goes James again, back to his old ways and hit rock bottom. I'm there. God, I screwed up again, God. Why can't I change? Why? God, why is this happening to me? And He would be there to pick me back up. And so, make a long story short, mine and Tracy's relationship, it wasn't easy. And like you were saying earlier, this is what a marriage should be like. I think alcohol contributes to many people's problems, and the more you drink, the more problems you're gonna have. And I believe that wholeheartedly. I do. And people who don't drink, do they still have problems? Yeah, of course. Everybody has problems. Nobody's perfect. But alcohol is a great contributor to wrecking marriages, to wrecking relationships, everything. And a lot of people don't realize that until they hit rock bottom, like I did. And then maybe there's some people that do hit rock bottom and they just don't want to realize it. But Tracy's a pain in the ass. She is.
Most women are.
But I can tell you that I don't want to spend one day without her the rest of my life. I don't. And a lot of people don't know this, but a couple of weeks ago, Tracy had seizures for the first time ever. She had never experienced it. I had never experienced it. And to sit there and watch her have these seizures that we had never experienced before, I was just so helpless, and I was so scared, and I was praying to God, like, why is this happening, and what do I do? I thought Tracy was going to die right there in front of me, and it was just the most horrible feeling, and I was just thinking to myself, God, we've come so far, and for this to happen. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know if she was having a heart attack, and now we know that she was having seizures. But I thought that I was gonna lose her, and I was just like, God, please don't take her, don't take her, don't take her. Take me. The kids don't need me; they need their mom. Please, God. And it was just like I was praying, like, for it to stop, and it was the longest 10 to 12 minutes of my life watching her go through that. And I've always told Tracy that, you know, of course kids need both their parents, but they need their mother more than anything, you know, because the mother is the rock. And to see Tracy go through what she was going through, I just felt so helpless, and I just couldn't stop praying for God to take me instead of her. And it was just the most horrible feeling in the world. And so, yeah, we've come a long way. I love my wife with all my heart. I love my kids with all my heart. I wish I would have learned about life a lot sooner. I wish I would have learned how to love like I should have a lot sooner. I wish I would have let God into my life a lot sooner, because my kids wouldn't have gone through everything they went through, and my wife wouldn't have gone through everything that she went through. And life is just simple, you know. It's us that make it hard. But I don't know.
Well, I'm super emotional right now because I've known you my whole life, and I'm very thankful that you are, one, that you share your story, but that you guys are where you are right now. You know, I've had friends, other friends of ours, you know, through the last 20 years, 25 years, something. And, you know, we've always been friends. We've always been family. You know, but we'll go times without seeing each other, you know. And I guess I was busy in my own shit, right? Trying to do my own thing and trying to find my way, I guess, through life. And so, like, I remember people asking, how's James? Where's James? Or where's James and Tracy at? And Carrie would always ask. Other friends would ask. And, you know, there was times where, you know, would maybe go to Victoria for a birthday party for the twins. And so I was constantly getting, like, this. It was like a snapshot of where you guys were at certain times in y'all's lives, you know.
You always knew.
And it's kind of like, you know, people would ask, how are things going for James? How's Tracy doing? How, you know, and it's kind of like, well, you know, I saw him so many months ago and things looked good. Or, man, I saw them so many months ago and I don't know where they're at right now, but it looks pretty rough. You know, so I think there's other people that we've known forever that love the two of you and that have always been hoping for the best, you know, but it's kind of like, you know, it's heartbreaking to see somebody that you, for me, to see somebody, you know, I know you and I love you. I've known him since we were little kids, you know, to see James kind of going maybe, and not knowing the particulars, because I didn't know a lot of what you've told me today, but knowing something's not right, you know. I can tell James isn't where he might want to be right now, you know. And then years go by, and then all of a sudden you guys were together again, and it was like, I have no clue what's going on, you know. I thought I did, but now they're together again, and they're in George West, of all places, you know. And to see where you're at now, it's like the relationship's always going to be evolving, and hopefully it's always evolving in the right direction, right? And it's beautiful to see it getting to where it is now, because it's going to influence the kids, and it's going to influence the grandbabies. And at some point, you know, that long history of and I'm sure somebody's gonna have a problem at some point, and it may be alcohol related, it may be something else related, but to be able to go from, you know, your dad passing at such a young age from cirrhosis, you know, to you putting your kids through what you did with booze, alcohol, to be able to, it's almost like I don't want to call it, you know, I don't want to call it the sins of alcohol, but like that's kind of diluting, right? and it's playing less of an influence in every generation of Arcibas that are coming out, and hopefully in another generation, your grandbabies, it won't even be involved in their life. It won't be involved in their life from when they were born, seeing Logan or Lindsay or Devin or Alex having to go through those experiences and putting their kids through it. Hopefully it'll get so diluted that, alcohol will just be something that you do socially and it doesn't impact the family negatively, And one day your grandbabies are going to go, my grandfather and my grandmother went through what?
Yeah.
It'll be something that they can't even fathom because it's going to be so far away from them because of the work that you guys put in, and it's going to affect generations,
Yeah.
So I think that's wonderful. But
They're already going to be grandparents. Congratulations.
that's right. That's
On the
right.
way.
So how much farther till Alex is going to have her baby?
Her due date is the 21st of February.
Okay. Awesome.
3 weeks.
Boy or girl?
Girl.
Do we have a name?
Taylor Rose.
Taylor Rose? Gabriella? I'm just saying that's a beautiful name. Gabriel's a beautiful name. So you can use it in any form that you guys want or with grandbabies. Let them know. But no, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm super excited.
It's
And
gonna be our first grandkid, so
I can't wait till the day comes that you can be on your back porch and invite me over because food's already ready. And we can sit with your grandbaby on your lap and we can tell your grandbaby how amazing,
how not to live their life.
how not to live their life, but how soccer is in their blood,
Man.
and be able to share those experiences of us destroying the B County Youth Soccer Association.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't have a chance.
They didn't have a chance. Me and James were part of an elite force,
Yeah.
with a few other friends of ours called the Red Raiders. And we were 10 years old, hell on wheels.
Yeah.
So every time you won a game, you had stars go down the front of your shirt. And we had all stars.
So can you consider yourself a soccer player if you only play 4 games of soccer in your whole life?
It's not
Oh,
4
he
games.
played a lot of games.
We played a lot.
He was our goalie, and they
course he was.
hardly scored on us.
They hardly scored.
Yeah, makes
Well,
sense.
most of that was because they were never on our side of the field. But I feel like I contributed to that as well.
And when they were on our side of the field, you should have seen Gabriel just diving for balls left and right.
I was like Pele, but of goaltending.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It was almost as if I filled the entire soccer goal.
I feel like I can't even give this fire because I know Leah Lanise will be listening to this podcast at one
Nina
point.
Nina apparently
and we'll
played
talk some
soccer
shit.
for 15 minutes of her life and
Yeah.
may have won 2 state championships at Madison, even
Yeah.
though they probably only had 2 soccer teams in the state of Texas.
Yeah, I think it's
5A, baby.
it was whenever soccer was first coming
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
I've
Yeah,
been
but
playing soccer longer than, for a long time.
You know what? You haven't lived until you're on an 8-year-old soccer team and grown men are trying to beat you up.
we played Mexico.
I play Mexico now on Sunday, tomorrow.
No.
Yeah, but that's different. They came like the most elite soccer teams.
Yeah.
Organized in Corpus.
When we played in
And
Corpus,
we got screwed because it was supposed to be a 2-game elimination.
yeah, and we only got beat once.
And
And
won
then
the
they put
first
us
2 games, and then we lost the third one in Mexico 1-0.
And I think they all got deported when it was over. If they didn't, they should have gotten deported.
Some of your teammates get deported too?
No, they're sitting right here in front of me.
Yeah,
Should they have?
But anyway,
we would have never got deported because we're like Hispanics that talk like rednecks.
yeah,
That's true.
Yeah, so,
country Mexicans.
yeah, that's crazy. They listen to Nirvana, Easy E.
We assimilated. Well, guys, I appreciate your time.
Yes.
I appreciate.
Thank
your
you for
story.
having us.
Thank you for coming, man. I like I said, there's some stuff that we've talked about, even that we didn't record that, I had no clue of, and it's funny because I always tell Nina, it's very strange, our relationship with all of our friends, because it's like we're very close, but we don't ever really share the nasty parts.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a part of that is kind of like, I don't know, maybe if we did, it would be beneficial, but it's almost like, when we get together, we act stupid. We have a
Yeah.
good time. nothing of any sort of real negativity or substance gets talked about, you know, and I think it would probably benefit us if we did, you know, because I think we have a lot of similar experiences, you know. I mean, not to do a whole nother hour, but it's like with me and Nina, I mean, we've always had our problems, you know. Even in the beginning, it was a friggin' nightmare. Horrible, dude. Holy cow. But, you know, now I think we get along better. You know, we're always trying to evolve that, the relationship, but it's kind of like, you know, I think being able to have conversations and share experiences, you know, even though it may not be something where we sit there and go, well, let me tell you all my trash, you know, but it's kind of like it affects us, and it makes us go, okay, we're not in this boat by ourselves, you know. We're all in it, and nothing's perfect, and
Nothing.
And so it's kind of like I can stop feeling like I'm the only one that experiences these experiences, you know. So being able to share, it's huge, man. It's huge, and I appreciate you guys being so open, because it's hard to put yourself out there and let people know what's going on.
Oh, it's not hard at all.
You don't think so?
No.
We can actually talk about the past or joke about the past without
Getting mad.
Yeah.
You know, if we would bring up the past.
Because I think if me and Nina did that, there'd be some furniture moving.
No.
Oh, there used to be.
Yeah.
I mean, it took time. I mean, we'd get back together, and then we'd like make a smart comment to each other, and then that was it, you know.
Yeah.
There goes a relationship straight down. But now it's I can talk about it, and I'm not ashamed of it. And like, nobody is perfect. You know, we live in a small town, George West, where 99% of that town think that they're perfect, and they're not. And everybody knows everything about everybody there, because it's a small town.
Oh, I tell Nina all the time, don't tell nobody shit when we go to George West.
But
It'll make the rounds.
you know,
But you know, I think people, and I love being from where I'm from, because it's made me who I am. But
Absolutely.
it's kind of like, I think people in smaller communities tend to love to gossip, because
Oh,
it distracts
yeah.
from
their issues,
them looking at themselves,
their problems.
Yeah. And so I think that's human nature in a lot of ways. But, you know, I also told Nina, I'm like, you know, growing up in a small town, you know, when you become friends with somebody like me and James, it's like, you know, and maybe, you know, I think we have a rarity where you have a friend that you've known for probably 40 years. You know, that's kind of a rare case. Sometimes there's a few people like that. You know, I happen to know like 15 of them, you know, because we all grew up together. But it's like, you know, you have to look that person in the face every day, you know, so you have to be honest when you're growing up, and you have to be sincere, and you learn to, you know what, I'm not going to talk trash about this guy, because I'm going to see him again tomorrow, and we hang out, and we do the same things together. And, you know, and not only did me and James have a friendship and a bond, you know, your siblings are friends with my siblings, you know, I'm sure our parents are, you know, I'm sure my dad knew your parents, you know,
Yeah.
and, you know, so it's not like it's a generational, you know, friendship that happens, you know, and it's kind of like, well, how did you and James meet, and what'd y'all hang out? And it's kind of like, well, our families have been interacting for years, you know, so, you know, you tend to gossip less that way, you know, and you tend to go, well, hey, you know, I'm not going to put my mess out there, because there's other people in the community that are going to gossip about you.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know? So you just let it go, and you just
That's
gotta,
90% of George West.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, there's not a whole lot to do down there outside,
Yeah.
outside of gossip, but
So,
I like some good cheese mint too. When it involves Nina's friends, and you know who I'm talking about. So, but anyway, we love you guys.
Love you too.
Thank you so much.
Love you, Nina.
I've had fun.
Love you too.
And we'll talk to you another time. Thank
thanks,
you guys.
brother. God bless.
Thanks for listening to the Gabe Molina Podcast.